So learning guitar is cool. Guitar is fun, and I'm thinking back of when I started. It hurt. It was painful, physically painful at first. To be able to do something like this and hold it, it hurt. And it will hurt when you first start to learn guitar, especially acoustic guitar. It's going to physically hurt at first, but the secret is to get through that. And that takes patience. So if you can stay strong and get through that first beginning part where it hurts, then it goes away after a while, but at first it hurts. That should be a song. At first it hurts. Yeah. At first it hurts. Anyway, at first it hurts. And so that's the first thing that I just would like to share. If you're thinking about starting to learn to play guitar. And so with that, really takes patience too. All right, now that we got that out of the way, and you've got your guitar tuned up, you can tune your guitar a lot of ways. Probably have some kind of tuner. Okay. So just to get the feel for how the string is, you can use a pick if you'd like, and you probably will use a pick for some of your playing. I would also recommend just using your hands. And so you can feel what the string feels like under your thumb when you pluck down. Like that. Now one thing you can do just with this top string here, the thick one, that's called your E. E like echo. So with the top string here, and your left hand with your index finger, your first finger, if you fret it at this third fret, this is 1, 2, 3, third fret. If you press down just behind it, like that, right here, if you press down a little bit with your finger, and then over here you take your thumb and plunk it down a little bit, that's called fretting the string. And that's what you have to get used to, is pressing down on the string, because it's going to hurt at first. And you can just practice doing this. And you can make your own little tune out of it. You can add a little bit more spice to it after you practice that for a while. So this is a good exercise to learn how to use your fingers separately. can also use a pick on the open string here. And only pick it, not the other strings, just this one. Like that. And you can use the flesh, the part of your hand here, on the strings a little bit, rest them here against the strings, so when you pick down, it mutes it a little bit. If I pick the string without touching them, so that's what you can do with a single string. So a very good and important exercise in getting you ready and strong and staying strong for playing guitar, in this hand especially, is by starting on this big top string here and going slowly, the first, second, third, fourth, and then go down a string. Next string. And do that. Right? And then come back down. So this exercise might seem boring at first or tedious, but it's important to build strength, and everything else will be much easier if you can do this. So here's something kind of cool and fun you can do right away. Take your index finger here and put it on this string on the 2nd fret. And then down here, you play these 2 strings. Okay? These 2 strings. And you put your palm on them a little bit, and you pick these 2 strings together. Sounds kind of cool. Okay, and now you can add a little spice to it, and this finger goes on the 4th fret of this string, right here, and off, back on. You're only playing these top 2 strings down here. And you can speed it up. And then you move your first finger down 1 string, on this fret here, 2nd fret, and you play these 2 strings. It's called the 5th and the 4th string. This is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th string. So the 5th and the 4th string, play these 2 together. So you're playing these 2 strings, fretting this one. So you can pick them or play them with your fingers. The same thing just like before. So if you go back up 1 string here and play these top 2 strings like this. So if you put those 2 together, someday it can sound something like And those are called power chords. Two-string power chord. And if you move it down one and play the 5th and the 4th string, you can even play some down and dirty. And then change over. There's the last piece to that. And what's cool about these two-string power chords, you can move them around anywhere. And make your own music. And you can move them around anywhere in this pattern. And the pattern is, for example, if you want to start on this fret, your first finger on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th fret, number 5, that's the second dot on my guitar. Yours might be a little different, but a lot of guitars are marked 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 9th, 10, 11, 12th is the 2 dots. So in this example, we're on the 3rd, 4th, 5th fret. First finger on the 5th fret of the big 6th string. And then your 3rd finger goes 2 frets up and 1 string down. So 2 frets up and 1 string down. So right here. So this one and this one. These two. So this one and this one. And then you just play those 2 strings together. And it might not ring out at first when you're first starting. It might sound like that. It might sound kind of crappy at first. That's okay. Just have patience and you'll get better at it. You just have to practice it. And kind of curl your hand up and around. That's the problem I had when I first started. My fingers would be flat like this. But you have to really curl them up like that. Really curl them up. Focus on curling them up. And if you do that, then you can play this string and this string here. Together. Together. And if you move them up 1, 2 frets, back, now we're making music, baby. And you can move it around anywhere. Just keep that same distance between your fingers, that same pattern. So, index finger on the big string, and then the ring finger here, 2 frets up and 1 string down. That's the pattern for a 2-string power chord on these 2 strings. Chords. When you want to start really strumming to music, you're going to want to learn chords. And one of the first guitar chords that I ever learned was a D chord. And chords are formed up here on the fretboard. And the D chord is kind of shaped like a diamond, a D for diamond, with the pattern that it makes on the fretboard. So your third finger goes on the second fret of the first string here, and then your pinky hits the next string up one fret, so that's the second string your pinky goes on to on the third fret, and then your finger here goes on the second fret of this third string. So together the three of them form a kind of a diamond or a triangle pattern on the fretboard. And it's those three strings that make that chord. And if you hit the string above it, this fourth string, this D string, that's what really makes it. Right? So these four strings. And you're going to have to practice this. You're going to have to practice putting your third finger on the second fret right there behind it, and then bringing your pinky around and curling it up and putting it on the second string on the third fret, and then your second finger goes on the second fret of the third string, and keeping them up like that so they can ring out when you strum them is going to be the tricky part when you learn chords. Because when you first learn, it might sound like, because your fingers here aren't used to doing this. So you're just going to have to practice, and eventually you'll be able to strum the guitar and they'll all come through, all four. But it's going to take a lot of practice up here, and that's a lot of the pain that you'll go through at first. The tips of your fingers will hurt when you're first starting. But just get through it and be patient, and it'll pay off. So that's a D chord. The G chord looks like this. Your second finger goes on the second fret of the fifth string. Your third finger goes on the third fret of the big sixth string here. And your pinky curls down onto the first string, the third fret. Your index finger is blown off into the wind. And then you have a G chord. And you're just going to need to practice doing that. It's all new to you, so you're going to have to go slow and be patient with yourself as you force your body to do something it's not done before. But eventually, if you practice enough and if you're patient with yourself, you'll be able to do this and have all strings ring out. At first, it might sound like this at first. That's okay, be patient and make sure you curl your fingers up and around, and that's a G chord. And that's a good second chord to learn after D. because you can go from D to G, back to D. And once you learn these chords and put them together, you can really start to make some music. So that's the G chord, also known as an open G. And the first one was a D, known as an open D. And the third chord is what's called an A chord. And it was one of the first chords I ever learned. And if you can go like this with your hand, with your 3 fingers, you can make an A chord. You just take these 3 fingers and put them together like that. And then bring them on the 2nd fret. Just like that. So your 3rd finger goes on the 2nd fret of this 2nd string. Your 2nd finger goes on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And your index finger also goes on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And those 3 together, boom, right there, form an A chord. And if you ring out this 5th string down, 5th string down, you'll get A and all the other notes with it. And that's an A chord. It's a pretty simple line to remember, a pattern. You just bunch all your fingers in that 2nd fret to do your A. So you eventually can put the 3 chords together, the D, the G, and the A, back to the D. So that progression there was just something using those 3 chords. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women there, and I'm gonna give me one. They got some crazy little women there, and I'm gonna give me one. So again, those are just those 3 chords. The key is to figure out how to get through that pain. It's going to hurt in the beginning. If you stick to it and have patience and get through it, and you learn those chords, and then you can start feeling yourself really being able to play them, it's a great feeling and it makes it worth it.